My beloved brothers and sisters, life will test you. There will be nights when your pillow is wet with tears and mournings, when your heart feels heavier than your body. There will be moments when doors close so suddenly that you stand there confused, asking, why me? But when life gets hard, remember this: Allah has not abandoned you. Allah tells us in Surah Al-Baqarah that He will surely test us with fear, hunger, loss of wealth, lives, and fruits, but He gives glad tidings to the patient. Think about that. The test is guaranteed, but so is the glad tiding. Sometimes we think hardship means Allah is angry with us. But reflect on the lives of the prophets. Was the life of Prophet Muhammad easy? He was rejected in Mecca, mocked, stoned in Taif, and faced betrayal and loss. Yet he was the most beloved to Allah. Trials are not a sign of rejection. They are a sign of elevation. Imagine a seed buried deep under dark soil. From above, it looks as though it has disappeared. But beneath the surface, something powerful is happening. It is breaking open. It is pushing through resistance. It is preparing to bloom. Your hardship may feel like burial, but perhaps Allah is planting you. You lost that job. You thought it was the end. But months later, you realize it pushed you towards something better. You experienced heartbreak. You thought your world collapsed. But later you thank Allah because He protected you from a future you could not see. How many times has Allah saved you from something you once begged for? Allah says in the Quran that you may dislike something while it is good for you, and you may love something while it is bad for you. Allah knows and you do not know. Subhanallah, we see today, Allah sees forever. When your dua seems unanswered, don't assume it is ignored. The silence is not neglect, it is divine wisdom. Perhaps Allah is delaying it because He wants to give you something bigger. Perhaps He is protecting you from harm. Perhaps He is waiting for the perfect moment when the blessing will not just change your situation, but change you. Have you ever noticed how rain falls exactly when the earth needs it most? Not a second too early, not a second too late. Allah sends signs at the perfect moment. A reminder, a verse, a lecture, a stranger's advice, a sudden calmness in your chest. These are not coincidences. These are messages from our Rahman. You are not forgotten. Even in the belly of the whale, when Yunus felt surrounded by darkness upon darkness, he called out to Allah. And Allah responded, darkness is not the end of your story. It may be the place where your most sincere dua is born. My dear brothers and sisters, sometimes Allah removes the distractions so you can finally see Him clearly. Sometimes He breaks your plans so you can surrender to His. And when you surrender, not with anger, but with trust, that is when peace enters your heart. Tawakkul is not sitting back and doing nothing. It is tying your camel and trusting Allah with the outcome. It is making effort while knowing the result belongs to Him. Ask yourself, what if this hardship is shaping you for a blessing you are not yet ready to carry? What if the delay is discipline? What if the struggle is strengthening your foundation so when the success comes, it does not destroy you? Gold is purified by fire. Diamonds are formed under pressure. The strongest believers are shaped by trials. Do not rush the process. Do not compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 10. Allah writes every story differently, and your story is still being written. Prepare your heart, increase your dua, strengthen your salah, purify your intentions, because when Allah opens a door, no one can close it. And when He closes a door, no one can open it. If you are breathing, Allah is not done with you. When life gets hard, remember this: the one who created your heart knows exactly how much it can bear. The one who tests you also loves you. The one who delays also plans. Trust Him when you see nothing. Trust Him when you feel nothing. Trust Him when everything seems to fall apart. Because sometimes things fall apart so that better things can fall into place. Your tears are counted. Your patience is recorded. Your dua is heard. And your reward is being prepared in ways you cannot yet imagine. Hold on a little longer. The night may be dark, but Fajr is coming. Hardship is not punishment, it is preparation. This is one of the most powerful mindset shifts a believer can make. When something goes wrong in our lives, our first reaction is often guilt or fear. We immediately assume Allah must be punishing me, but that assumption can quietly weaken our relationship with Him. Allah is our Rahman and our Rahim, the most merciful and the most compassionate. His mercy outweighs His wrath. So when difficulty comes, we must pause and ask ourselves, what if this is not punishment, but preparation? Think about how preparation works in every other part of life. A student preparing for an important exam must go through long nights of study, confusion, and mental exhaustion. An athlete training for a championship feels pain in their muscles, discipline in their routine, and discomfort in their sacrifice. No one looks at their struggle and calls it punishment. We call it training. We call it development. We call it growth. Why then, when Allah trains us for something greater, do we immediately label it as rejection? Allah prepares His strongest servants through trials. The prophets were tested the most, not because they were sinful, but because they were chosen. Their hardships elevated them. When something in your life shakes you, it may be because Allah is strengthening parts of you that comfort never could. Patience is not built in ease. Reliance on Allah is not developed when everything is going your way. True tawakkul is born when the ground beneath you feels unstable and you choose to trust Him anyway. Sometimes Allah removes something from your life because it would have destroyed you later. You cry over a lost opportunity, but you do not see the harm that was attached to it. You grieve a relationship, but you do not see the future heartbreak you were saved from. You feel delayed while others move ahead, but you do not see the character Allah is building inside you. Preparation often feels like loss before it feels like gain. When iron is placed into fire, it glows red, it bends, it changes shape. The fire is not punishing the iron, it is refining it. Without that heat, it remains weak and limited. With it, it becomes strong and purposeful. In the same way, the fire of hardship refines the believer. It burns away arrogance. It melts pride. It softens the heart. It forces you to turn back to Allah with sincerity. Many of us make our most powerful dues not when life is easy, but when we feel desperate. Hardship humbles us in ways comfort never can. Preparation also means capacity. Perhaps Allah wants to give you something greater than what you are asking for, but your current mindset, discipline, or faith is not yet strong enough to carry it. So He prepares you. He teaches you patience through delay. He teaches you gratitude through small blessings. He teaches you resilience through setbacks. Every difficulty adds weight to your spiritual muscles. And slowly, without you realizing it, you are becoming someone capable of handling more. Look back at your own life. Think of a challenge you once believed would break you. At the time, you felt overwhelmed. You questioned everything. But now, you see how much stronger you became because of it. You handle stress differently. You trust Allah more deeply. You react with greater maturity. That hardship shaped you. It prepared you for the next stage of your journey. Sometimes preparation is internal. Allah is aligning your heart before He aligns your circumstances. He is correcting your intentions before granting you success. He is teaching you reliance before giving you independence. If success came too early, you might forget Him. If wealth arrived too soon, it might corrupt you. If recognition came before humility, it might inflate your ego. So Allah prepares you quietly, often through moments you misunderstand. When life becomes heavy, remind yourself that Allah does not waste pain. Every tear has meaning. Every delay has wisdom. Every closed door has purpose. The discomfort you feel today may be building the discipline you will need tomorrow. The rejection you face now may be redirecting you to something purer. The loneliness you experience may be teaching you to find comfort in Allah alone. Preparation is not always visible. It happens beneath the surface, like roots growing underground before a tree rises above the soil. No one applauds the roots. No one sees the struggle in the darkness. But without that hidden growth, the tree would collapse at the first storm. Allah strengthens your roots before He exposes you to greater winds. Allah's timing is always perfect, even when it feels delayed. As human beings, we measure everything by minutes, months, and years. We look at the clock, we compare timelines, we calculate how long something has taken, and we grow anxious when it does not happen according to our expectations. But Allah is not bound by time the way we are. He created time. What feels late to you is never late to Him. What feels slow to you is unfolding with absolute precision in the divine plan. Think about how often we say, "If only this happened earlier," or "Why is this taking so long?" We assume that faster is better. We assume that immediate results mean success. Yet in reality, many of the most meaningful things in life require time. A child takes months to develop in the womb before entering the world. A tree takes years before it bears fruit. Maturity takes decades to form. Growth is rarely instant, and when it is instant, it is often unstable. When you make dua and you do not see results immediately, it can feel like silence. But delay is not denial. The delay may be protection. The delay may be alignment. The delay may be preparation. Allah sees variables you cannot see, people you have not met yet, opportunities not yet created, dangers not yet visible. If He were to give you what you want right now, it might clash with something greater He has written for you later. We often focus on what we want without understanding what we need. A person may desperately want a particular job, believing it is the key to happiness. They pray for it every night. They imagine their life changing overnight, but the job does not come. Months later, they discover another opportunity that fits them better, protects their faith, improves their mental health, or leads them toward connections that change their entire future. Looking back, they realize that if the first door had opened, they would have missed the better one. At the time, it felt like delay. In reality, it was divine precision. Allah's timing is not random. It is layered with wisdom. Sometimes He delays because your heart is not ready. Sometimes He delays because the blessing requires growth within you first. If you were given success before learning humility, it might fill you with arrogance. If you were given wealth before discipline, it might lead you to wastefulness. If you were given influence before sincerity, it might corrupt your intention. So, Allah refines you quietly while you wait. Waiting is one of the most powerful spiritual teachers. In waiting, you confront your impatience. In waiting, you learn surrender. In waiting, you realize how little control you truly have. And in that realization, you either become bitter or you become closer to Allah. The believer chooses closeness. The believer chooses to say, "Ya Allah, I trust that you know when is best." Consider the story of Yusuf. He was thrown into a well as a child, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and imprisoned for years. Imagine if he had judged Allah's plan based only on the prison cell. It would have seemed like endless delay. But that prison was not the end. It was a step. The very place that looked like a setback became the path to authority and reunion with his family. If his rise to leadership had come earlier, without the lessons of betrayal, patience, and restraint, he may not have carried it with the same wisdom. Your life may have chapters that feel like a prison, restricted, painful, uncertain. But perhaps Allah is positioning you. Perhaps He is arranging conversations, shaping hearts, shifting circumstances in ways you cannot perceive. Timing is not only about when something happens. It is about how all the pieces come together. We compare our timelines with others and feel behind. We see someone younger achieving what we hoped for. We see peers moving ahead in career, marriage, or recognition. Social comparison fuels frustration. But Allah did not write identical scripts for His servants. Each story unfolds differently. Your delay may be someone else's protection. Their early success may be their test. What looks ahead or behind from a human perspective is irrelevant in the sight of Allah. When rain falls at the wrong time, it can destroy crops. When it falls at the right time, it nourishes them. The same rain, different timing, completely different results. Allah sends your blessings with that same precision. Too early and they might harm you. Too late and they might not benefit you. But at the exact moment He chooses, they arrive with impact. Trusting Allah's timing requires surrendering your obsession with control. It means continuing to make dua even when you see no change. It means continuing to work even when results are slow. It means believing that what is written for you cannot miss you, and what misses you was never meant to be yours. Every test carries hidden mercy and unseen protection. When a difficulty enters your life, it rarely arrives with an explanation. It does not introduce itself as a blessing in disguise. It does not immediately reveal the harm it is preventing or the reward it is storing for you. Instead, it feels heavy, it feels unfair, it feels confusing. But the believer learns to look beyond the surface and to trust that within every test there is mercy woven so deeply that only Allah can fully see it. Sometimes the mercy is obvious later. You wanted something so badly, and when it slipped away, you felt shattered. You questioned your worth. You questioned your future. But as time passed, you realized that what you lost would have led you into stress, compromise, or regret. What felt like deprivation was actually protection. Allah shielded you from something you were too emotionally attached to walk away from yourself. Other times the mercy is internal. A test softens your heart. It teaches you empathy. Before hardship, you may have judged others quickly. You may have assumed their struggles were small or exaggerated. But when you go through your own trial, financial strain, heartbreak, anxiety, rejection, you begin to understand people differently. You become gentler. You listen more carefully. You make dua for others with sincerity because now you know what pain feels like. That transformation is mercy. Allah's protection does not always look like comfort. Sometimes it looks like removal. He removes people who would have influenced you negatively. He removes opportunities that would have distracted you from your faith. He removes environments that would have weakened your character. In the moment, removal feels like loss. But if you could see the unseen consequences of what was taken away, you would thank Him repeatedly. Reflect on the life of Musa. As a baby, he was placed into a river by his mother. Imagine the fear in that moment. A child set afloat in uncertainty. Yet that very act of apparent danger became the means of his protection. He was taken into the palace of Fir'aun and raised safely. What looked like risk carried hidden mercy. What looked like loss of control carried divine safeguarding. There are moments in your life that feel like being set afloat on a river. You do not know where you are going. You do not know how things will turn out. You feel exposed and vulnerable. But Allah controls the current. The same water that frightens you is being directed by His command. The test is not random. It is measured. It is precise. Hidden mercy also exists in the way tests redirect your focus. When life is smooth, it is easy to become distracted. Comfort can make you forget your dependence on Allah. But when difficulty strikes, your hands rise in dua more frequently. Your sujud becomes longer. Your tears become sincere. You turn to Allah not out of routine, but out of need. That closeness is mercy. That reconnection is mercy. Sometimes Allah tests you to prevent a greater test. A small financial loss may prevent a future financial disaster. A delayed plan may protect you from a harmful commitment. A short-term disappointment may save you from long-term regret. You see the immediate pain, but you do not see the disaster that was quietly averted. The unseen protection is often greater than the visible loss. There is also mercy in reward. Every hardship endured with patience wipes away sins and elevates ranks. Even the prick of a thorn, as mentioned in authentic teachings, carries expiation for the believer. That means nothing you endure is wasted.